Recorded live at Talks and Tasting Studios, it's the Clerical Errors Podcast, the podcast that shows you what's behind the collar. Let's go.
From the Talks and Tasting Studios, this is the Clerical Errors Podcast, the podcast that shows you
what's behind the collar.
I'm Bollhagen.
I'm Berg.
I'm Vicar. And Peter's here in the studio again.
Peter's in the house.
Woot woot.
So he's wearing his producer hat and everything.
That's right.
And today is a very special day. We had some things planned that didn't work out so well.
No. Well, we still have to get it done.
We have to.
We have to.
Do you know what we're talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
The surround sound episode. Because now that we've said something, you know that issues, etc., there are going to be trying to beat us to the table to be the first surround sound Lutheran podcast. But
so what you're saying is because this show is called Clerical Errors, we'll do it like around 113, like episode 113, right?
Well, I think we teased it at like episode 50. So
yeah, it's about par for the course.
Yeah.
Right
on schedule.
I even invented a contraption for this. Would you like to explain what that contraption looks like?
So part of the surround sound podcast is basically what it does is you take two small microphones and you put them in somebody's ears, and then basically you just hear the way that they hear, and it's positional, and that your brain parses it out by using the fact that you've got a head in between the two microphones as well as the shape of the ears. Well, Bollhagen, we got actually I think for Father's Day or your birthday or something, I got some surround sound microphone that's meant for this purpose, right? Mm-hmm. We can't figure out how to make it work with our recording equipment. We're having a lot of trouble with it. So Bollhagen, knowing that I had asked him to please try and get it to work, instead of doing that, he made a contraption in where he got some foam padding and some cardboard.
Oh boy!
And an actual face
and a baby face
and a cardboard cutout of a baby face.
Okay, all right. Maybe we should just take a picture of it.
I don't want that anywhere.
Yeah. You know, how much time did you actually spend on it?
About 45 minutes.
That took you 45 minutes? But you didn't spend like the 15 minutes to try and get the microphone working that we bought for the purpose?
I did try. I spent a good amount of time doing that too.
Why try to fix something when you can go the Gilligan's Island route?
So yeah, it's got a little duct tape, a little cardboard, a face.
But as we mentioned, the shape of the ear is important.
That's what the baby was for.
The baby is the shape of an ear?
It had ears.
It has cardboard ears.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy.
Oh, well.
So we'll get that done at some point.
I efforted it.
I tried. I wanted to show up for the podcast so we could get that done, and well.
Well, to be honest though, the reason why I'm glad we're kind of not doing it is we had the idea of surround sound, but we had nothing planned for the surround sound. It would just be us walking in a circle.
Walking in a circle? No. You don't understand how this would work. Okay, hang on.
Happy 100th anniversary.
No, hang on.
Seriously.
Hang on, wait. Take off your headphones.
Okay. I got this. Yep.
Take off your headphones. No, all the way off, okay? Can't hear them, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, close your eyes. Can you tell where I'm talking to you from?
Yes.
Right, I'm directly in front of you, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, Berg, say something.
So, yeah, I'm saying something right now.
Now you can position where Berg is in the room, right?
Yes, he is at about, I would say 2 o'clock.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, what if you could do that on headphones?
Mm-hmm.
This is the Surround Sound Podcast. We don't have to be doing anything special. It's just like you're sitting at the table with us, right?
I see.
It's a more authentic listening.
Right.
For all you millennials out there.
It's an immersive experience.
See, I was thinking surround sound with sound effects and explosions and
We could still maybe have that.
We could maybe have that as
I was
long as
thinking-
you've figured out how to get
Maybe we should
surround
do
sound.
two. We should do 2 episodes. One as you envision it, and one as I envision it.
All right, so here's what we'll do then. In that case, we'll record the same episode, but we'll use both different microphones, right? So we've got your microphone set up and my microphone set up,
The battle of the surround sound.
and then we'll put them out at the same time. We'll have 2 different editions of that podcast, and we'll have like a vote on which episode is better.
Hannah, if you could put that vote on Facebook, that'd be great.
And by the way, this is why we use liturgy, because when we try to be gimmicky as a church, this is what happens.
Yeah, it just doesn't work at all. Oh, and I saw, Hannah, that you wouldn't post the actors on Facebook, so, But thanks for posting all the rest of the stuff.
And if you have any ideas for someone who would be willing to be an associate producer to help you with that, anybody interested, where could they get a hold of us, Vicar?
They can email their applications, feedback@clericalerrors.org. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/clericalerrorspodcast. And we're on Twitter
At me, bro.
@clericalerrorsp, P for podcast.
You don't know those? You still have to read off your card?
I would still have to read them off the card.
I would rather be the dummy that reads it off the card and not get it wrong than to get it wrong off of memory.
I am the one who doesn't mind getting it wrong, I suppose.
No comment.
So, being our 100th episode, we have some tasting to do.
Yeah, so happy 100 episodes, everybody. I brought last week's drink, and it was a coconut espresso. And this week, since it's episode 100, I spiced it up a little bit, and I brought 2 different drinks, both of which are very much for our celebration. I brought Silver Patron, tequila, and Glenlivet Scotch whiskey.
We are
12
very
year.
we are very fancy here. Hey, did you guys ever think we'd actually make it to 100 episodes?
No.
No.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I thought you guys would be done in 4 months.
But
I thought I would be done in 4 months.
I mean, we've had our struggles getting them out, if we're honest.
well, and it's been the last few months where I think we've seen a lot more struggles.
It's hard to get together.
Yeah.
But Bert, he's not here today, but he brings a nice fresh air.
Yeah. And I mean, we have gotten out an episode
We have not missed a week
yet. So,
through COVID, through vacations, and through all that.
That's not to say we haven't had some seriously subpar episodes, but something has come out.
I didn't say it was all quality.
Something has been released every week.
Yep, you have been able to listen every week. So
That is a huge 100 episodes
yeah, it's a big
in a
accomplishment.
row.
I don't think that we could do this like that if we didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think everybody here enjoys doing this, right?
Yeah.
So
And if we're gonna keep on talking about having a podcast to help people who want to start a podcast, not
Right.
like we're the shining model, but I think it's got to be something that you enjoy doing. Otherwise, it is work and it wouldn't be sustainable.
well, and how many downloads have we gotten here in the last month or so? Because I know we just started, but like last month, how many downloads did we get?
Last month was our best month. We had we've been getting more than 1,000 a month.
Okay, good. And that's the thing is, if we can help other people, other pastors do podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
if we can kind of synergize a little bit and do that kind of stuff, I mean, that'll only help you guys, the listeners. So,
And to have something, what I wanted to do from this beginning is to do it with a different angle, to have a kind of podcast that maybe people wouldn't normally say, I need to relax. I don't want to really listen to a religious podcast. I kind of wanted to do it in a way that is fun as well. Because this is a medium that is not like adult Bible study or a Sunday morning where, you have to do certain things and cover certain things. This is where we get to have fun with it and kind of do what we want.
well, I will say that my mom goes to sleep listening to this podcast. So,
Your soothing voice.
It is. So,
So I'm passing around the Patron as we talk.
yes, speaking of fun, here we go.
Looks like Vicar's going to be our driver.
All the glasses are too far away anyway as well, so that's okay.
Oh.
No trouble.
Now, Berg, you were saying before the podcast that you haven't had tequila in a long time.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the taste of it is, so...
It must have been good.
Ha! Well, it's interesting because this is our 100th episode, and today's Sunday is Remiscire, which means remember, right? So,
Cheers.
to 100 more, right? Right?
Oh, we could have done that. We could have done that in surround sound. We're missing out.
I love a good tequila.
It's so bitterly cold out, that it's been nice to...
It does have a...
It has that nice warming effect.
And it tastes a little peachy. It tastes a little... I don't know.
What's on the nose? It's, how would you describe that? Because there's not a lot of taste in the liquid.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, I can taste the agave because I actually... on my peanut butter I do have peanut butter sandwiches on gluten-free bread. But then instead of honey, I've been using agave nectar, which is almost like honey.
Oh, okay. Living the dream.
But I don't know how to describe it. I just like it.
It's good.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Peter.
So what's the text, Vicar, for...
Second Sunday of Lent, the text is Matthew 15, 21 to 28. This would be the faith of the Canaanite woman. This is short enough. Should I read this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, and Jesus went away from there and withdrew to the district of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman from that region came out and was crying, "Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon." But he did not answer her a word. And his disciples came and begged him, saying, "Send her away, for she is crying out after us." He answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." And he answered, "It is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus answered her, "O woman, great is your faith. Be it done for you as you desire." And her daughter was healed instantly.
So, Berg, what do you have your sermon done for this?
I'm so far behind, I don't have anything done on much of anything. So
Now, we are recording this quite in advance now.
Yes.
right. So, So I don't know. Start us off so I can either that or you should open that scotch so I can get some inspiration.
So first thing we
Gladly.
could say is you notice the desperation in the Canaanite woman.
I don't know. I mean, let's even take a step back. I mean, this Sunday would be great to talk about, what did we have the first Sunday in Lent?
The temptation of Jesus.
Right. And what do we have this Sunday? I mean, what's the problem?
The demon.
Right. So, it's interesting because, like, in the Old Testament, you don't see much demonic activity, right?
Right.
I mean, hardly at all. I mean, you see it in the garden. You see it when the Lord sends a lying spirit into the mouths of the prophets. You see an evil spirit tormenting Saul. But really, you don't see a lot of demonic possession, right? It's interesting how, like, when Jesus comes to the scene, it's like all of these demons come out of the woodworks, which I think is an interesting lesson for today, right? To talk about the nature, Lent isn't some 6-week funeral for Jesus, right?
Right.
And I think that's very important for us to realize that Lent is about growth. It's about about the Christian life, and that's the first Sunday is about temptation. The second Sunday is really about prayer in a lot of ways, and this woman's prayer actually delivers her daughter from demonic possession. So this would be another great Sunday to riff on like demonic possession. What do demons do, right? And
faith.
And faith is another one, right? Prayer, the nature of God, even when God doesn't seem to answer you a word, he is still kind and graciously disposed to you.
Now, many people think that Jesus was being mean.
You could even say that this was a temptation to good, right? We talked about this at our Winkle.
Yeah, we did.
And Winkle is it's a German word which means corner, because this is where the pastors went when they met, as they gathered in the corner, right? I mean, I don't know if that says anything about, their behavior or their antics, which by this podcast maybe it does, right? But at our Winkle, we talked, there are two different types of temptations. There's temptations towards evil, which are done by the devil in our flesh and by other people, and their main goal is to seduce us into sin. But God even sends temptations, and we often translate that as testing, or, because even though the word is the same in the Hebrew, we don't want to make God into the author of evil. So that's why we have this distinction, even though the words themselves don't necessarily reflect that. So God actually tempts us or tests us for good. It's for the strengthening of our faith. And that's what Jesus is doing here, right? Mm-hmm. So we can riff off of that a little bit. I mean, like you said before, the woman was very desperate, right? And she puts up with a lot. Well, first of all, what ethnicity is she?
Well, she's probably Phoenician. She's up in Tyre and Sidon, so we're not talking the children of Abraham here.
All right, and what, especially the word Canaanite gets thrown around, right?
Yeah.
What did God command for the Canaanites?
That they all be killed.
Right. So, I mean, this woman doesn't even have the right to live, right? According to the Old Testament laws, right? Her people should have been exterminated, and it was actually a sin for the children of Israel not to do that. And you can read about that at the beginning of the book of Judges, right? Jesus ignores her, and he continues to kind of ignore her. And finally, when he does talk to her, what does he call her?
Says, calls her inadvertently a dog.
Right, and people make this big thing. Oh, well, it's a diminutive dog. It's a house dog. Blah blah blah. You still called somebody a dog.
Yeah, imagine doing that as a pastor. Calling someone a dog. And well, I just meant a diminutive dog.
I meant it like my dog Spot. Still, it's insulting.
I love my dog.
But I don't recall dogs ever being mentioned favorably in the Old Testament.
No, and
they're brought up, it's always something bad.
Well, even in the New Testament, I mean, they're, like a dog returns to his vomit, right? Dogs were unclean. And dogs are still gross. I mean, any animal that licks itself and, loves the smell cadaverous, I mean, probably isn't something, everybody's like, oh, the dogs, they were so nice to Lazarus when they licked his wounds. It's like, do you actually know what's in a dog's mouth? They just made it worse, The dogs actually make his suffering even worse,
So I guess for the listener, the question: does Berg have a dog?
So, no. The answer is no. So, unless it was Snoopy, I mean, I would get Snoopy.
Would you ever get a pet?
Maybe. I mean, if we had more. See, pets are so much work, and they don't have rational souls, and it's like, I guess I'd rather. And then you got to do stuff for them, right?
Well,
you gotta,
one thing I will say is when you have children, a pet can be good for teaching them how to care for, because like you grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
You had an understanding working with animals to a certain degree, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of dogs too, but they were outside dogs that were for particular purposes.
Mm-hmm. But it is good for children to. I think they learn how to. The
worst thing is that one of my confirmation kids got me a fish. I took care of that fish. That fish lived for a long time.
I remember that because you told the kids at the school that you thought pets were worthless or useless or something.
Well, they are. I mean, they are worthless.
And so they got you a fish.
So they got me a fish, and I did. I took care of that fish. So, for a long time.
Over a year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a year and a half that fish lived.
I mean, if they understood the sense of humor, they should have got you a pet rock.
That would have been great, because it would have been a lot easier to take care of.
But that's no fun, though.
See, and they knew it.
Yes, but
they knew that I would feel obligated to take care of this stupid living animal, so So yeah,
That's such the perfect gift.
Isn't that though? That was.
it was.
What you should appreciate about it is the fact that those who got you the gift really knew you, right?
Yeah, they were cunning. They knew what they were doing. So yeah, I don't know if they would pick up on it.
Well, I wish I had more to
nowadays.
say about this text, but I did like 12 for the last podcast about an hour ago. So, Peter, what are you pouring there?
I'm pouring the other beverage. This is, I forget already. Glenlivet.
Yeah. Okay, since he's pouring that, I just had an idea. I mean, one thing that you can talk about in this text is faith. And what actually is faith? Faith is the confident trust in the promises of the gospel. I mean, this woman trusted that Jesus would be merciful to her, even though he gave every earthly, illustration that he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that's important to realize that. Did you?
I just noticed you didn't have an empty. I didn't want you to.
And think about it. I mean, we don't pray the way that this woman prays.
No.
We're kind of double-minded when we pray. It's like, oh, well,
We do a lot of praying. I've noticed this. I think we may have talked about this before. We pray as though we don't believe it actually works. We'll say, if someone's dying, we say, we pray that your will be done. Or pray. We don't necessarily pray always for healing.
Right.
We help us to accept your will, but
and you're not in that position of really praying like this woman until you're actually in that position where you actually have a kid who's sick or dying or something along those lines, right? It's got to be almost something earth-shattering,
which is something that you would feel more for someone else than you would even do for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, kind
of like I will cook for anyone in my family. They just have to ask all the time. Peter knows this because he comes to our house and make sure you have enough food. And I'm oddly weird like that. But I'll make something for my wife. I make her toast every night. Would I make toast for myself? Probably not. But
not now with the gluten stuff.
Yeah.
And I would argue you it's not an original idea from you. You definitely get it from your mother.
That's true.
So, I mean, getting back to faith, I mean, this woman really clings to Jesus. She clings to Jesus in a way that is remarkable. He only calls this woman and the centurion, he says that their faith is great. I mean, I told my confirmation kids this yesterday. It's like, what do you really trust in? Let's not even use the word faith or believe because that's, people say that all the time, but they don't actually know what they're talking about. But I mean, what are you willing to die for? What are you willing to beg for? How much crap are you willing to go through? And I mean, this woman went through a lot.
Yeah.
Right? She goes from being ignored, to the disciples just saying, just heal this woman's daughter so she leaves us alone.
And the fact that all the things that she went through beforehand.
Right. And it's amazing.
Just for even to get to that point.
And we give up so easy. And so it really is remarkable. And this woman should really be celebrated in a lot of ways.
Oh, and an example, how many people actually, and this is strange, we've talked a lot about the pandemic this past year, right? How many people have actually prayed for the end of the pandemic? I don't know how many actually do. They help us accept this or that, but...
Well, your buddy Kenneth Copeland did.
Oh, did it work?
Well, no, he didn't pray for it to end. He commanded it to end.
Oh,
we should watch that thing.
The original one or the one that's set to music?
Yes.
Didn't I play that for you guys?
Yes, but we're remembering you playing it for us, and we should watch it again.
Yes. It's all about remembering. So I apologize. I feel like I'm not adding a whole lot to this conversation. I'm making you
That's all right.
do the heavy lifting.
Anyway, I've got this drink in front of me that I want to drink. So
yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's got nice floral notes in the nose. Maybe a little bit of like a caramel apple.
A touch of vanilla. Which is they always say that with whiskey, don't they?
Well, if they're in bourbon barrels, because that's what American oak does.
Right.
I would say if there's a scale from 1 to 5, it's like a 4 on vanilla.
Is that what the box says?
No, not at all. I'd also label it if I was to rate it myself, I'd probably give it like a 4 for fruity, maybe like a 3. Yeah, 3 for floral. Not much raisin though.
No, I'm not really getting the raisin. So, anyway, yeah, this is great. So
I'm gonna invent a new drink. What should we call this? It's Scotch with tequila.
Oh, please don't do that.
that is the worst idea I think I've heard in a long time.
Such a waste. Hang on, wait. If you use this,
Is there a famous actor who's Mexican and Irish?
Well, you could call it
Scotch.
what is it? Agave.
You could just call it ugh.
All right, should we move on to the top 12 list?
Yeah, I heard. You said you had a special top 12. We haven't heard what it is yet.
Yeah, and I also said it's very light on theology. Every once in a while, we allow ourselves to be a little self-indulgent. So,
Oh, hey, I'll play the intro.
Enough nonsense. It's time for Bollhagen's Top 12.
So, my top 12 list is we all like a good prophecy, right? Right?
Yes, we love.
Sorry, I might. Sorry about that. So what I thought I would do is these are top 12 things that may happen that I think will happen. Maybe not. But when we get to our 200th episode,
Okay.
these are things that may possibly happen by our 200 episode.
Okay, so
wait,
do we have a date for our 200th episode?
About 2 years, right?
Yeah, we started what? Beginning or like middle? What we?
Middle of March, maybe?
I think it was end of February.
Okay.
So, I mean, basically, we're looking at what?
Oh, yeah, 50. It's 52
2 years
weeks.
minus
52
4.
weeks in a year.
So,
Yeah.
20,
Towards the beginning.
23 months from now. Whatever that
Towards
is.
the beginning of 2023.
2023. Now, before we start that, do we guys want to take like an over-under on how many episodes we get? Are we going to hit 200? Are we going to go over or under 200? Or are we going to stop before then, you think? Keeping in mind, we made it to 100.
We did make it to
And
100.
we haven't missed a single episode.
You're right. We have released something every week.
I predict, my
Yes.
prophecy is that we will not make it to 200 only because of scheduling. I think we will hit a point where we're not able to get together for a couple weeks in a row and then everybody just forgets about it.
I don't know. See, the thing is, I've got this creative outlet that I need every once in a while. Otherwise, I'll just be at home making bench press parables and driving my family crazy.
Yeah, I guess because I honest, 2
Moment of
years
truth.
ago I would have agreed with you. I would have thought we would have gotten to 3 to 6 months and that would have been done. But I don't know.
That's 100 episodes.
Bollhagen he's a beast.
I pushed because there's some of those where we didn't miss a week. I pushed through to do something.
You definitely have taken that for the weeks where we can't get together quick enough for me to get the podcast edited because I've got work.
Whether it's a best of, I did the solo show one time where I was oddly angry and two beats behind me.
Where you run a diss track on me. Yeah. I still think that best of episode is the best editing that's happened on this podcast, I think. Besides, probably the only other contender is your Melba episode. I think you're probably the better editor here.
Huh? I wouldn't say that, but because it took me a lot more time to do it.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, unless I think it'll keep going unless something happens where Peter can't do it anymore, or yeah,
Right.
because
Because
as long as you have someone to riff off of, it'll continue. So
He just needs the brains.
Well, I needed to be a conversation.
A dialogue.
Right. So by our 200th episode, these things may or may not happen. I'm not going to say they're all going to happen for sure.
Okay, so is it more than 50% or less than 50%?
I would say half of these will probably happen.
Okay, so are we going to talk about, like, which of these half are going to have a great... Okay.
Yeah, so maybe you can decide how likely these things are to happen. All right?
All right.
So maybe after each one, we give a percentage chance.
Yes.
By
And
committee.
you, the listener, can take votes on this. And where can they find us, Vicar?
Haven't we done that already?
Do it again.
They can rewind the podcast and listen to it earlier.
The listener at home may be having tequila or scotch as well.
We certainly are.
All right. So,
Number 12.
Hannah, we love you.
All right.
Number 12.
Something we said in episode 43 will become viral, and we will be Twitter banned.
What did we say in episode 43?
what is episode 43?
I don't know. It was kind of random.
Oh, you just...
Well, we say a lot of offensive things
Well, the thing is, I want
to the world.
If you could cut this out, Peter, I want people to see if we get a bump in how many people listen to 43.
No, I'm keeping this in so I can tell you that there's probably something in 43, and then we're gonna get canceled. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
All right.
Vicar, what is episode? We'll talk about it later.
We'll find it.
All right.
Hannah.
I'll have to find my login for Twitter, then and I'll make sure to put the hashtag in there.
Hashtag cancel
we'll
culture.
make it happen.
Number 11.
One of the wacko conspiracies that we've heard the last couple of months will be proven true. Just one of them.
Just one of them. You know, I actually have an apples to apples game that's called Conspiracy Theory, where somebody has the card and then you try to put either the best conspiracy with it or like the craziest, you know? So
what are some examples of ones that you think might become true?
Oh, I don't. See, the thing is, you can't say that because as soon as you do, you're going to say, oh, the election was a conspiracy. That's what you think. No, I'm not saying any of these are true. I just think there's going to be a revolution by episode 200 where we all go, oh, okay.
That's such a that's like a psychic way of like giving you a. Oh yes,
Yeah,
I'm
see,
getting. You have an
medium Bollhagen here.
You have a. You see, there's somebody that's passed on that's close to you. My father. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
R-T-T. Some begins with a T, right? Yeah. His name was Richard. Yeah. See, R-S-T. Mm-hmm.
I am banking on Hollow Earth theory.
Okay.
Like the Inside Out.
Well, yeah, exactly. So like the sun is actually inside the Earth.
The only reason I don't like that is I'm still waiting for the Voyager to hit the wall just outside the solar system, just because it'd be hilarious.
Ah,
Well, since flat Earth has already been proven.
Yep.
All right.
yeah, that
Doing
all
all
got,
right, Berg, there?
Yep, that all got cut out. That was all canceled.
that might have got
Yep, yep. That one was cancel cultured.
Number 10.
Number 10.
19.0 will be a strongman competitor.
Okay.
Is this as he shows up to Vicarage, or like by the time to episode 200 he is?
By episode 200.
He has been molded.
Right. So when 19.0, which is not 8, we have 17, 18.
Currently, yeah.
That he's going to have a lot of pressure that he's going to have to be a...
19.0 would be a first year this year. I have the calendar in the office with the photo of the first year class. We could see who looks like they'd be strongman competitor worthy.
I like the thought of that.
We'll have to send a petition into Matt Harrison, president of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, and
Who approves this podcast, by the
approves
way?
the podcast, and
I
make
wonder
sure we get a
if
strong
it's
man.
gotten back to him, if he ever regrets doing that.
Isn't
I'm
there,
sure there's so many
I
things.
regret it.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who regret a lot of things.
isn't there an actual Lutheran pastor who's a strongman competitor? Like
In Canada, we talked about him.
Yeah, he pulls jumbo jets.
Which is amazing.
It is.
We should have a bench off, he and I, sometime.
What, as in he bench presses you?
No.
You bench press him?
No, I mean, Him and I, one machine. Put a weight on.
Dude,
More reps
I
win.
think Reverend Santa Claus would destroy you.
You think so?
Oh my gosh.
And then we
That
have
guy-
we have a race, a running race.
See, well, you've
I-
got
you would probably win that.
See, the thing
Give
is,
him time
right?
to work up and have it be episode 200.
Pre-COVID,
Right.
maybe it was close, right?
Yeah, I'm down 20
The
pounds.
post-COVID plus
I'm not the
post
245 I was.
Yeah, that
post-protein
took you out.
diet, no meat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
So set it up with the seminary, man.
Number 9.
17.0 will be explaining to his children why they have to wear snow boots in June.
Yep.
What's up?
95%.
Yeah, we're talking this is either extreme climate change or I'm worried about where that means I'm put.
Our shepherd of the glacier.
Because wouldn't that mean southern hemisphere?
It could.
mean,
or
it-
it could be extreme north.
Northern Canada.
It could be
It's
mountainous.
really far north Canada.
Well, there is an Orthodox church in Antarctica, so we could go and compete with them.
I don't have the facial hair for that.
Not yet.
You better you
got
better
2
get
years.
to
I've
it,
got
man.
I've got 200 episodes to get that.
That's
100
right.
episodes, yeah.
So you say
Not gonna
that's so far that's the more likely scenario.
I'm banking on it.
I won't have to explain to them why to wear snow boots.
Heck, no! This is you'll be sent to like the Nunavut province of Canada to what's that town's name? Aleut, which is has like 69 permanent residents.
Future version of me who's listening to this at home is now getting evil glares from my wife.
where they live in a permafrost environment all year round.
Where milk comes in bricks.
All because of that podcast that got canceled from episode 43.
Man,
Right?
Yeah, after episode 43, like
yeah,
it's all right.
that's the butterfly effect. There we go.
Number 8.
Bertonia will have taken over the northern half of the state of Iowa.
Was it
Finally.
Bertonia or Bertlandia?
I thought it was Bertlandia the last episode. He
Oh, okay.
corrected me. He
Yep.
laughed like I was an idiot. Bertlandia, what's that?
Yeah, that's the. That sounds made up. That's really dumb.
I hope
Peter
so.
cut that out.
I hope he takes over. That'd be awesome.
Number 7.
Wyoming will be known as the Baldwin District.
I don't know. I think that's pretty low on the.
Is that
Well, just because there are so many good guys in Wyoming that is that thing still running? Okay, good. There are so many good guys in Wyoming. They're actually talking about starting up a classical Lutheran college there,
really?
like in
Nice.
Casper. So, I mean, he might be a bright light, but he's among a lot of bright luminaries there.
Well, and here's
so.
the thing, right? 2 years is a really short time to start a conquest on an entire district, you know?
I know I've been here 7.5 years, and it's not known as the Berg district yet.
Need to start with a smaller district.
That's true.
Well, you'd have to overcome Bollhagen, though, before you could.
I thought we were going to be a team here and just swipe the board, but
Oh, okay.
Well, and
despite my best efforts,
there's also a Preuss in the area that
I've never met him.
You know, we did talk about having Clerical Errors be a podcast network, like the
We did.
Disney of Lutheran podcasts. So we're still looking to expand.
So if you are a pastor and you want to join the Errorverse, email us.
I like that, the Errorverse. I like that. That's great.
the EPU.
Yes. See, we've got all these great ideas. We could be
See,
amazing.
and we're only 100. We think of all the unplowed territory we have.
It is unplowed. That's for sure.
All right, I'm feeling warm.
Number 6.
By episode 200, Peter and Hannah will have ditched us and signed a multi-million-dollar contract with iHeartRadio.
99%. I don't know how they can put up with our nonsense.
What number was that one?
Number 6.
Number 6B. Peter and Hannah demand payment for.
Honestly, well, Yeah.
Well, Vicar has to because he's,
I mean, you guys are all getting paid to do this, right?
No. which is
But we do have a Patreon, so.
which is what I like about it is the fact that way, because it's not part of our actual location, we can enjoy it.
Right.
Yep.
For legal purposes and church purposes, I am the official owner of the Clerical Errors podcast. Me.
So if you leave,
I take the podcast with me with a new crew on iHeartRadio.
who would replace us?
Oh, please. Okay. Yeah, this would. Okay, who's going to replace us?
Well, I mean, by then, Todd Wilkin will have been canceled. So I'll bring him in.
Probably
Okay.
Matt Harrison will be probably retired.
Right.
Matt Harrison was going to be out of things to do. We'll pull him on. And then, for like the flavor,
Okay.
Dr. James Bollhagen, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah, you got to have that kind of outside guy to,
Yeah, that way we can hear the same 3 jokes every episode. It'll be great.
Yes.
Love you, Papa.
All right. Number 5.
Number 5.
Zombies. Now here's the thing, okay? Tell me that the last year has not been the beginning of a zombie movie.
Which kind of zombies?
Ooh.
Boom.
Okay.
That's huge.
Now you've lost me.
All right. So,
Yeah.
do you
The
think
ones that
Peter, which zombies?
are you thinking slow walking brains, or are you thinking like I Am Legend?
either I Am Legend or what is the one with Brad Pitt? It's something Z.
Yeah,
Oh, World War Z. Yeah.
World War Z.
Yeah, where they're all running and fast.
So
zombies.
fast zombies.
Yeah.
What's there's names for there's like the dude that came up with it.
Oh, it's Romero Zombies.
Thank you.
Right? His like if you haven't seen Night of the Living Dead, you need to see it. It's great. It's a wonderful. It's actually the first horror film, the first film that actually has a black hero in it.
Really?
Yeah, and he uses zombies in order to kind of socially critique society. So, but
so it just seems like I don't know, with the virus and everything and lockdowns, that it is the beginning of a zombie movie.
Number 4.
Berg will find the news delightful.
I want to say that's pretty low.
pretty low, like maybe 5%.
Like, unless it's like Paul Harvey comes back from the dead and starts up his show again where they only played the good news,
Yeah.
which tanked because people are masochists at heart. Like, they want to hurt themselves with the news.
We should try and have a segment. News that Berg finds delightful.
Well, we need a better name than that. News that bothers Berg is a good name because it kind of rolls off the tongue.
Right.
Vicar,
like
where can they let us know what a good name
Let's
for
not keep doing this.
Number 3.
The Clerical Errors tour will have been sold out.
We're selling tickets to
Okay.
a tour?
So, what is the tour?
That's what I don't know. That's just what came to me.
Well, we still need to go up to Minnesota and do this live show at some point.
That was kind of where I wanted to go,
Oh, our tour could be way cooler than that, though.
Well, obviously we'll have to get the tour bus, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we can't do without. It's not a tour if you don't have a,
A tour bus with
Right.
like our faces on the side.
Finally.
with your faces and then the
The
podcast
logo? Yeah.
and then like in the corner my face, and then there's just a silhouette for Vicar. It's like
Hand in the front seat. telling
I
us
would
to
love
behave.
to see like a top 12 statements that we've made over these last 100 episodes. Like best lines.
I did put some at the end of the last podcast.
Right. I haven't listened to it yet.
That sounds
so.
like a good list for the listeners to put together.
Right. Vicar.
I think a couple of my favorites are Berg saying hot were tools. There's another one that didn't make it in the podcast, but I have on my computer a snippet of Bollhagen saying, "Did I just witness a drug deal?" have the voiceover guy saying "and done." That's one of my favorites too.
He was actually in today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw him.
Did you tell him that we're doing our?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
he
I did.
excited?
Yeah. We should have before
Does
he
he
left.
actually listen?
I don't know.
I guess we'll know after this.
Hey, if he listens, where could he get a hold of us, Victor? All right, number 2.
Number 2.
The public will demand more sound effects.
I don't know.
Uh,
We're pretty chock full of sound effects the way we are.
I don't think
I mean,
that
Peter-
might just be a me thing. No one
That's-
likes sound effects like I do.
I don't like cheesy sound effects.
I do like the X-Files one.
I do too.
That one was pretty funny.
That is amazing.
The one especially where we were doing the top 12 with all the extra sound effects.
Right, with the mysteries, yeah.
And
that
you
was-
just happened to have the perfect line I could throw in there that you were like, going into Bollhagen's mind. Do, 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 do.
All right, you ready for number 1?
And number 1.
Clerical errors will be purchased by Disney only to be ruined.
That's pretty par for the course, I think. What I actually see happening is like all of the outlets where Clerical Errors is distributed will be purchased by Disney,
Oh, yeah.
and then they will ruin that.
All right. On that note,
Do, 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 do.
The truth is out there.
all right. So that is the top 12. What shall we do next? Should we do another segment of Is It a Sin?
How do you guys feel about maybe since we're at 100 episodes, we could get a new intro song? Or do you guys really like the intro song?
Oh, that's kind of our jam. I think like when I listen to it, you hear the boom, boom, boom. It's like, it puts you there. It's liturgical.
It's liturgical.
Victor's shaking his head. You know what I mean, though? That's like Johnny Carson changing his theme song.
Well, what do you think, Peter?
I don't know. I just feel like, episode 100, it's new beginnings, right?
No, I guess I kind of feel
Sentimental about it?
that way too. I mean, honestly. So what would, you've got the dun 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 dun, sort
Sure.
of thing, right? So what would you, for how this has kind of evolved and changed over the, over these 100 episodes, what kind of a sound do you think?
I don't know. I didn't really have anything necessarily in mind. That's kind of why I was jumping in with you guys, because I don't know what you guys are thinking, but the vibe, I think, is close.
Yeah, I do think, it's because it's not
It's a little cheesy. It's like a little loungy. It's like talks and taste-ins. It's a little...
Yeah, we need to do more loungy stuff though.
There you go.
In the next 100 episodes.
And I need to finish my rap song.
So yeah, that's what we. So what do you guys want to change in these next episodes? Now that we're at 100, what can we change up? This is the time for freedom. This is the time where we can change whatever we want and get away with it scot free, and nobody's gonna say anything because it's a new paradigm.
I would like to see a lot more of the loungy sort of idea, sitting around, drinking, talking theology,
Like we are now, but more theology.
Well,
a little less segment based.
Well, and if we get this sort of surround sound thing going, I think that'll be kind of a cool deal,
Now, I don't think that the surround thing is an every episode thing.
No, but
So maybe every so often have an episode that's table talk.
yeah,
And do it as surround sound, and it's like there's one topic, and you're just going to spend an hour and
right. And
just play around with it.
I'd like to see more listener involvement.
Yeah.
A lot more questions, a lot more interaction.
Because I know there are a decent amount of listeners who do actually feel like they're kind of a part of it. They
and,
listen.
We should actually invite some listeners onto the show.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not that far away. And we sit, we drink, we talk theology.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing that we've done that I would like to continue to do is kind of expand, like bringing Bird in.
Right.
Where we just hear more voices, have more people feel like they're part of the group.
Do you guys have anybody specific that you really want to get on the podcast in the next 100 episodes?
I'd like to get Pastor Dodgers from Charlotte, Iowa, because he wants to start his own podcast.
Sure.
And he wants to know kind of the nuts and bolts of how we do it and how we, make it work. And I obviously don't know how to do that because that's all wizardry to me. So,
It's kind of good for you because you just kind of
I just
show
come
up.
and talk. So,
Talk and drink.
that's the way we roll. So,
But yeah,
think bigger though. Think bigger. Like you can.
what I would like is one thing is to continue to try and be not just different for different sake, but I always wanted to have a podcast that was different than any other thing.
Not uptight, full of itself,
Right.
yeah,
holier than thou.
I don't think we're that way either,
Right.
do you?
No. But to continue that and to, because you don't have a lot of times where it's a religious Christian podcast where pastors, for example, show their own vulnerabilities even.
Yeah.
No,
I believe in that.
where I talk about, I have attention issues. So what? I'm, where people can actually see what kinds of things we think about, what kinds of things we struggle with. And we've done that very well. And I don't think it is that honesty and that genuine factor, which I really do think appeals to people and helps people understand their pastors in a different way.
So what do you think about the segments? Do you want to keep with the segments the way we're going, or do you want to...
Well, I think we need to have, and I think Hannah probably would agree with this, is we need to continue to have more behind the collar stuff.
Okay.
So
what does that look like, though?
I think what that looks like is we can still do segments, right? So I base a lot of what my theory is on our podcast on a couple podcasts I listen to from Rooster Teeth. Most people probably don't know what Rooster Teeth is, and it's not necessarily the most family friendly, but it's a lot of what I listen to in my day to day is Rooster Teeth, and they do basically it's just a talk show. They talk about stuff. Now the host might come in with things that they plan on they want to bring up and talk about, but they don't usually have straight up segments. But then once every 3 podcasts, they go ahead and they make a full on segment. So like normally it'll just be talking or whatever, and then they'll say, okay, this is what we call, movie show or video game or I don't know whatever it was, where
I like that
it's like
idea.
a game show.
Like a little more freedom in, because it... Yeah, I like that because there's a little more freedom in a lot of the episodes, but then like one you really buckle down and you have everything planned out.
Nail it out.
Yeah.
But there's other segments I like. I really like our top 12. I think that's a great way to bring up discussion while also keeping it moving because we have a list.
Mm-hmm. And what it is, what it ain't, what it could be.
Yeah. Well, I think like every one of our segments, really, if we really planned it, it could be its own show, its own episode, which would be great,
Mm-hmm.
And
I want to do more episodes like I did with the Melba episode too.
Right, more of the voices of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice to hear from our listeners to know what like they need, what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Like
because there are some who've listened to probably every episode.
Do you want more catechesis? Do you want more behind the collar stuff?
Yeah.
Do you want more Bible stuff? I mean, it's all Bible stuff.
More
of
sound
course,
effects.
Right.
More bench
No
press
more
parables.
sound effects.
more drink recommendations. I mean, we can do all this. So
Vicar, where do they? Yeah. So I think you're right. We should focus a little more on behind the collar stuff, and we can open up a little bit if that's something you guys are able to do and keep up discussion. I guess. I mean, you guys can talk off air. You guys can talk for forever.
Because usually we after we're done recording, and then it takes us a half hour to get out the door because by the way, and we just
yeah.
And some of our most funny moments are actually when we're done recording.
Most of our funny moments.
We should actually just keep recording the whole time.
But there's and anybody who's recorded themselves will know you press that record button. It's different.
It is.
It really feels different. You're not just by yourself anymore. And then this isn't live, but it still feels that way, right?
Right.
And you guys, I mean, Bollhagen does a little bit, but you guys don't have to sit there and listen to it over and over again either. Like,
right.
When I'm more active on the podcast, and I try and let you guys talk because I'm not knowledgeable, right? I try and just be the everyday guy that's like, hey, you guys lost me. Can you start over? You guys got way too deep in theology. I got lost. Start over, please. And I cut a lot of those out. But when I do talk, it's like, it's hard to edit your own voice. It's really grating until you are used to it. I'm used to it now.
And you hate it.
You hate it.
You hate listening to yourself.
Oh yeah, you've done the YouTube videos and stuff. You've done that too.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is. It's very hard. I mean, you know.
How about more press conferences?
Maybe if we had some better video. That was not only was it like mediocre content to begin with, but the quality was not great.
I remember asking, hey, do you want to do this? No.
Yeah.
Eat it.
It's just not my thing, man.
Hey,
you know.
do you want to spend half an hour on video making a subpar YouTube video every week?
And
Well, like we said in the very first episode, we're going to make a few mistakes.
yep.
It's still on our YouTube channel, though. It's still there.
I mean, it's called clerical errors.
Right. Well, and it's not a bad idea. It's just not my thing.
Right.
You know? And as the listener knows, you know, we have very different interests and, you know, and it makes for a fun deal,
which is
know?
why I wanted you along. When I thought, you know, we could have a very interesting podcast because we're so different. We have different interests,
right.
And yet we have fun together. So
yeah. Well, Peter, you know, you listen to us a lot.
I do. That's correct.
What do you want to see in the podcast?
I'm kind of right there. You know, I like your you know, just behind the collar stuff. I mean, it really, not that I need it from you guys because I've been around you guys a lot, but it really, I think, humanizes your pastors more than you know. I think it's people may have the tendency to dehumanize people in that kind of position. You know, like even in school, you know, sometimes I had problems realizing that my teachers were human, right? They don't exist only at the school, right? They go home every day, you know, they eat and they go to bed. They have their lives.
Took the batteries out and you put them in the closet.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was. Yeah. But you know, you guys talk about, oh yeah, you know, I was playing Warhammer the other day and, you know,
still painting my models, man.
Or the vicars, the vicar apps that we have of what people go through when they're scared about what, you know, when they're a pastor or Baldwin's updates, for example, which I really like.
I really do too. I love those. Those work really well.
Vicar, what do you want to see in the podcast?
I mean, I'm just here along for the ride, but I was thinking some of that behind the scenes stuff. You know, we talked 2 or 3 weeks ago about like doing an extended look at the text and actually write the sermon there. It's like those sorts of things would be, I think, kind of eye-opening for most people. They don't think about what goes into the stuff that we do in getting ready for a Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can I give you a little bit of homework, Vicar?
Yes.
Let's try this. If you like this idea,
okay.
Can I give you the homework? We've got a little voice recorder here.
Yeah.
Can I just have you spend? I don't want this to be too hard on you, but from start to finish, just like maybe every day for 2 minutes, as you're working on a service or a sermon, give like a 2-minute voice memo about what you're thinking about and what you're working through.
That's a great idea.
What the issue
that
is.
could be interesting. Yeah.
Right? Because these guys will just work through it. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and especially since with Lent coming up and I'm doing the midweeks. So I've got, at this point, which
Sure.
we're not yet to Lent as of recording, but since I have to write each of those sermons, that I could probably do that.
And you could use your phone
I'd
too.
have to remember to do that.
Right. That'd probably be the hard part.
Yeah.
And if you want, we can just put it separate, or we can listen to it and we can talk about it.
I wouldn't mind doing that. One of the things that's difficult for my perspective as a vicar, having spent now 2 years at seminary and being close to that community, and now being here, I'm a little bit alone in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually considered just literally opening up a video chat with one of my classmates while I'm working on a sermon or a Bible study or something, just to have someone to bounce ideas off of. So I'd be willing to do that. I just need to remember to do it.
Sure.
Put the recorder on his desk
Yeah.
with a little sticky note.
Yeah.
Now that said, you can use.
Yeah.
I'll cut this part out. You can use your phone and just use a voice memo. Your phone has a lot better microphone than you probably think it does.
Yeah.
You can use that too.
But this does sound good.
The only thing with that one is
The
keep
closest.
it far away.
No, I actually like that idea.
All right. Well.
We can do something else.
All right.
It's
We're not-
episode 100.
We don't suck. I mean, let's give the people what they want. So, what do the people want?
They wanna know. Is it a sin? Peter,
All right.
Play the intro.
Come on down to.
Is it a sin?
All right, Vicar, pick one out.
Yeah. Trying to decide. I've got a couple on here that are very much deep theology and maybe easy answers, but let's go with a fun one instead. Is it a sin to think that aliens exist?
Dun dun dun. E.T.
I feel as though you have a lot of them on there that are to think that. Am I wrong?
A few of them, yeah, because it's vague on purpose.
It's vague on purpose.
So aliens, like, are we talking like John Carpenter aliens, like The Thing, or are we talking like
This
E.T.,
is a sensitive.
like
This is a sensitive
phone
subject in
home?
in Iowa. It's a.
Not those kind of aliens.
It's more
Okay.
sensitive elsewhere in the country.
yes, they exist.
So
Extraterrestrials.
All right.
Is it a sin to believe that God created them?
Well,
Yes. Yeah, and that's assuming that,
if you're assuming that
that's assuming the existence too.
So then, no, because God created the universe.
Then how do you then that gets to the why I said think. 'Cause we're assuming they exist.
well, here.
I love this. This is great.
Does it matter?
Love this. I love this topic.
Does
you?
it matter?
So struggle with it. I love it.
You sound like you have something to say, Berg.
Oh, I have a lot to say, but struggle with it.
Well,
first. I
they
love it.
say, for example, you hear scientists say, "Well, we found water in Mars, so life could exist." Well, the only way life could exist is if God created it, right?
Mhm.
But I don't know if it's a sin to think that there could be other. I mean, we are created in the image of God. But are aliens? Are we talking about humanoid beings with a soul?
Or just
Or are we talking
A
about
living being.
life? A living
Finally,
being?
yes, you guys are getting there. Let's keep it going.
Because if we're talking a living being like a human with a soul, did Christ die for them?
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. So you have us all nervous, Berg. Like you have the answer.
well, one of us is going to say something, and you're going to immediately shoot us down.
By the way, you're going to be playing the X-Files sound effect.
Well, for this one, you can have like, what was that? Space Rogers or whatever, right?
Buck Rogers?
Buck Rogers, right? The space guy. So
So
a
what are
long
you
time
thinking,
ago.
Berg?
Well, no, I think you're onto something, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not a sin to think that God created cells or anything else out there, right? Whether it be vegetation or whatever. The problem that really comes down to it is whether they have a rational soul or not, right? An immortal soul. And then they fall into two classes, right? Either unfallen or fallen, right? And if they're unfallen, it makes sense that God would make the universe so incredibly vast after the fall, so that way we're like in our own little insane asylum. We can't actually get to them, right? To corrupt them, right?
Right, so we don't want aliens to contact us.
Right, well, and God doesn't want the aliens or us to contact the aliens either because, we're like a cancer in a lot of ways.
Doesn't it say?
So you're saying, when we go to the kingdom of heaven, is it going to look like the bar scene in Star Wars?
I hope so. Man, that'd be awesome. So
But with the same music.
So either aliens are unfallen or they're fallen.
I wish I could say the name of the Star Wars music on the podcast. It's not jazz. It's something else.
Yeah,
Right.
you can't say it. And there's no excuse for why it's named that.
Oh, it's so dumb.
So anyway, either they're unfallen, which I think is grossly unlikely because Romans 8 says that the universe is actually corrupted. So then they fall into the fallen category. And then the real question is
and it's our fault, so which explains why they would want to destroy us.
part of it, yeah, right, yeah, or they either fell themselves. And the question is, did Christ take on their nature to die for them? Right? I mean, this is, so...
I think they are fallen, because every time they come to Earth, they want to probe us.
Dirty, dirty aliens.
There's my new favorite thing that's ever been said on this podcast. Berg, dirty, dirty aliens.
Wouldn't a potential workaround for this be then the whole multiverse thing? So Jesus comes and dies for all of them simultaneously, and he's just in one place.
So that's the question,
Just
right?
in
Does
all of-
Christ die once, or does he die multiple times, or does he die once in multiple dimensions, which is some sort of convergence?
So now the question is it a sin to really be thinking this?
I think it's an interesting thought
Yeah.
experiment, right? Because the angels are not redeemed because Christ didn't take on their nature, right? Christ didn't become an angel; he became a man.
Because angels are different, because they are rational,
Right. The devil is rational. The devil will exist forever.
but they are not created in the image of God.
Right. And they are not redeemed. Even though perhaps they could have been redeemed. We don't know.
So I think why you like this is it is this kind of discussion that actually, at one hand, might seem useless to some, but actually helps us clarify.
And it shows how much our Lord and Savior loves us, that he took on our nature, right? I mean, this is when we bow in the Nicene Creed, right? That, he became incarnate, right? He became one of us. He became a man. And that's huge, that God now shares our nature, that he became a man like us to stand in our place, to bleed for us, to be damned for us, to suffer for us. And if we don't actually understand what that means, I mean, that's the whole meaning of Christmas.
Right.
Like, that's what Christmas is about. It's not about anything else. Man, I don't care that you think that, the frozen geese and the, snow lay on the ground and that was so silent. That's all bunk. It wasn't that way at all. Look at the weather report. Okay? The whole point is
He
that...
wasn't born in Iowa?
No, he wasn't born in Iowa. So, unless you're talking to the Mormons, then maybe he was.
So do you then believe in alien righteousness?
Ah! Right? Righteousness
Is that a
not
jo-
from around here.
Well
Is that,
played.
is
You
that
know-
a joke that I'm too...
There was actually a blog out
Non-
there that said, alien righteousness not from around here, right? Because basically all alien righteousness means is that Christ's righteousness is then imputed to you, right? Because you are the alien, you are the other, okay? And that when Christ gives you this righteousness through faith, right? He imputes it to you. It's ascribed to you. And so even though it's not yours by nature, it's yours, right? And that's why you're saved. That's why you can have complete and utter assurance that you're saved.
Because it's a righteousness that came from outside of you.
Right. as opposed to the righteousness that's worked in you in sanctification, right? Which always sucks because you're never good enough, right? So is it a sin to believe in aliens? It could be, especially if you say that Jesus has to die multiple times because Jesus died once for all.
And if it is, belief in aliens can become an overarching thing. So if you are trying to communicate with aliens, that could be something where it could start to get into the realm of demonic.
Right.
And usually the thing about that is it can become an overarching thing. It can
An obsession with like evolution, with all these other sort of
which
things.
could lead into not healthy ways. So I think Berg is a good example of what to think. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, it's a thought experiment, right?
Right.
And it should be a thought experiment about how Jesus' righteousness would cover them. I mean, because he has to take on their nature, right? Because if he died once for all, that means he can't actually die again, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seems what the Bible says. I don't know.
Like Vicar was saying, God exists outside of time.
Right, and so if there is some sort of, if Jesus actually was more than man and took on the nature of every sentient race, I mean, it would be interesting to write a sci-fi book about, missionaries meeting other sentient races and what they would do.
Welcome to Earth.
Welcome to Earth, third rock from the sun.
It's not quite what I was going for.
So
I was going for more of a Will Smith there, but I appreciate
So
it.
I have a,
Right.
I have a question for Vicar then. Which of your professors is most likely an alien?
Judging by his reaction, he knows the answer.
Coles. Right?
Yeah, I have no explanation.
Coles, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he'd for sure be in the running for that. Yeah.
Don't tell me there's someone more socially awkward than him.
I wasn't thinking socially awkward. I was thinking more of just, I have no explanation how you're able to do what you're doing and be unquestionable so frequently.
I get that all the time.
Yeah, no, I can see Dr. Coles, yeah.
So you haven't answered the question yet. Come on.
You still know the answer. I can see it in your face.
Yep.
The thing
Just-
is,
I'm here live. I can call you out.
Just, we'll bleep it out.
All right, yeah, I'll bleep it out.
I
I'll
don't
bleep it.
care. He's not going to be listening.
Well,
That's
not
true.
yet.
Not yet.
Oh, he won't be.
By episode 200, we're going to get canceled for this one.
Yep. Exactly. Come on. Ben Mays.
Scare.
David or Peter?
The Scare.
Oh. There's not the Scare. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
Dr. David Scare. Yeah, he's got to be the Scare. However, I know who would want to emigrate to be an
I could
alien,
see
and that'd
him-
be Nordling.
See, I could see.
He wants to be in space.
He does want to be in space. And he's tall enough.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
Wait. Can we roll that back? He's tall enough?
he's kind of like a giant.
he's like
Are you saying he's already in space?
He might be. I mean, the atmosphere is that thin up there.
he interrupts his own Greek classes, saying that it's boring. We need a space story, and just randomly talks about whatever he read in some scientific magazine about space.
Berg, are you never going to be in space, Berg, because you're too short?
I mean, they
You have to be
know.
tall to go to space.
probably
Actually, there's a height limit.
suckers.
I was going to say, that's the opposite.
There's a maximum height limit.
See, I mean, it would be amazing, like, if I could be in space, because, like, if I was on the moon, I could destroy everybody. Because,
Can you take that? Let's roll that back again.
All right.
Destroy everybody.
well, think about it this way, right? I mean, I am so dense the way that I am, and the gravity there is so light, I'd be like a bulldozer. Just,
But who are you destroying?
I don't know,
I thought
other
he was talking about
aliens?
how to figure out how to get
So-
the moon to crash into Earth.
Okay, because this hasn't gotten ridiculous enough. So if you went to space, you went to the moon, and you had to blow up the Earth, what 7 books would you take with you?
Oh, gosh.
oh my gosh.
This is going to take him too long. He's got
Well-
three. He's got 3 solid ones in his head right now.
Yeah.
The other 4 are very hard.
Yeah,
Are
I mean,
are we talking blowing up the Earth like Marvin Martian style?
Well,
okay.
There's
so,
one question. Where,
So the Bible, the
All right.
confessions.
Wait, hang on. You have 1 minute. Go.
Okay, the Bible, the confessions, Walther's hymnal, because LSB sucks. I would take with me a Canticle for Lebowitz, which is great. I would take with a compilation of the Warhammer 40K short stories. I would take with me, what else? Sir Walter Scott collection, Waverly. And then for 7, what's something I haven't read? Probably Worship in the 17th Century Lutheran Orthodoxy. Boom.
And
All right.
you're satisfied. Those are 7. So those 7 books, rest of your life.
Yep. I would be okay with that.
All right. Bollhagen, which 7 books would you take?
Let's see. I would say the June 1987 Mad Magazine.
This is oddly specific.
Do you even know what the June 1987 Mad magazine was?
So you know what? Knowing him, right?
He does.
It's like a 50-50 chance. Either that was like the one Mad magazine he had
He
in
actually
all of his
read?
childhood, and he read it every day, all the way through, twice a day for like 2 or 3 years, because that's just it's the one he had, or he made it up entirely.
So what's on page 17?
Spy versus Spy.
Still
Really high percentage chance that that's exactly right.
All right, so if anyone has June 1987 Mad magazine, please take photos of it and send us those pictures.
Email me at feedback@clericalerrors.org. I will buy it off of you.
Because I do
And
not
then
trust
frame it in
that
the
Bollhagen
studio.
is telling us the truth.
Because either it's going to make a great Father's Day present, or it'll make a great Father's Day present. Either way, I win.
So,
Well, thank you for the beverages. It made a great show.
I agree. This is a great show.
And it's good to have you in person today. Does it feel good for you to be in person? You can't fall asleep.
That's true. The unsafe levels of caffeine in my bloodstream, followed by alcohol, is really doing me good. The also unsafe lack of sleep, followed by a drive here, another great choice. And then I have to drive back in the snowstorm tonight, which will be great too.
Yeah, but you got to celebrate a birthday first.
That's right.
My youngest is turning 18.
oh my gosh. I had him in catechism class.
You're getting up there, Berg.
How much did he learn?
Not much.
Epic fail.
Well,
on my part.
was he part of the ones that got you a fish? Was it?
I think he was, wasn't he?
He might have been
Or was
involved
that-
in that group, but I'm not 100%. I think they taped his group toilet papered my my porch. So
That never happened when I was there.
Did he-
None of that stuff happened.
Did he at least do a good job?
it was all right. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
In your years, that would have gone over like a fart in a spacesuit.
my predecessor didn't have the sense of humor I do.
I've told you guys the my story, right?
No, please do.
Oh, I swear I have.
You probably have, but the listener needs to hear it again.
Well, okay. It was my story was for our graduation. They had us pick a verse, and so we were picking verses, and I don't actually remember which one we chose because it doesn't matter to me. My 8th grade graduation doesn't matter to me. I'm sorry, but they had us choose a graduation verse, and we wrote down 2 of them. I said, yeah, we have 2 options here. And one of them was the actual one, and the other one was just John went and killed himself.
Judas,
right?
you mean?
Or Judas,
right.
yeah, excuse me. And I just played it off as like, oh yeah, there's just 2 there, figuring like, oh yeah, that's obviously a joke. They want this other one, right? But no, I got the class got pulled out by your predecessor and the teacher.
Ah!
They had made a bulletin.
I can remember this. I can just imagine it.
They had made a bulletin for the service with the theme of Judas went and hung himself.
Ah! That's amazing. Yes.
The sermon,
Yes.
the title of the sermon was "Follow His Example."
Ah!
Wow.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes.
And they, as a punishment, they ended a years-long tradition where they would give us time capsules and put different little objects in there to remind you of your time there. And they gave us something else, but it was like they switched over. But it was like that was our punishment, was they ended the time capsule thing. I always thought that was a little overblown. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I would agree.
Follow his example.
Did he actually preach that sermon? Please tell me he did.
No.
That'd be a really good sermon text for a rigged D&D preaching session.
No. That the bulletin and everything was all just like, so we were supposed to feel bad or something. I just found it hilarious.
Yeah.
See, it's all so darn passive aggressive. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Honestly, I mean, that's a great text to preach on, right? Preach on suicide. Judas didn't have faith. Judas didn't trust in Christ, right?
Right.
And it led him to a very nasty end.
So that was your idea?
Yeah. Of course it was. Who else would come up with that?
I love those hard texts to preach on. I think they're way easier to preach on than,
It just blew my mind that it was like one of them was a classic. It was like John 3:16 or something. It was just a classic. This is a good verse, and then that one. I'm like, here's your two options, and it wasn't immediately. Oh hell yeah, that was a jokey one.
Yeah, I mean,
What explains your involvement in the Clerical Errors podcast?
see, I mean, I would laugh, and
Right?
then I would choose it just because,
Oh, you would have gone. You would have chose it.
I would have chosen it, and I wouldn't have made you feel bad about it.
You probably would have been like, you wouldn't have chosen it, but you would have talked about it in the sermon, probably.
Oh, absolutely. No, I actually probably would have chosen it and been like, this is what the people wanted to hear. So this is all right. Let's go.
Man, I'm glad I didn't have you then.
Well, I mean, you got to call people on their bluff. So
I guess. I by my own admission,
I wouldn't have made you
really
feel
care.
bad about it, though. That's the thing.
No, you wouldn't, but I feel like all the other parents would.
So I'd be like, this is what the kids chose, so let's go with it. What's the worst that can happen?
I shoehorned that in, but like the other parents from that class probably would have been mad at me. Anyway,
Well, happy 100th episode, everybody.
that's a long one.
Yeah. So,
You just gotta stop, man.
Expect more of this in the future. With it, we're gonna try and go with less segments.
You let the little party horn right after that. just one.
So 100 episodes, 100 more,
1,000 more.
1,000 more. I'm not sure about all that.
That's ambitious.
100 more.
So 1,000 more would be like what? How many years, Vicar? How many would 1,000 more episodes be?
I'm going into ministry, so I don't have to do math.
Roughly 20, 19,
20 years?
52 weeks a
19
year.
years. 52 a year.
All right, so let's do it, man.
all right, I'm Bollhagen,
And I'm Berg.
I'm Vicar.
And I'm Peter, I guess.
and may your righteousness be alien.
Thank you for joining us. This podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Questions, thoughts, concerns? You can contact us on Facebook at facebook.com/Clerical Errors Podcast, on Twitter at Clerical Errors P for podcast, or email us at feedback@clericalerrors.org. Thanks for listening to Clerical Errors. See you next time.